Welcome everyone to the Martian Tomato Podcast. I am Marley or Mars Bars,
I am Brennan/Tomato.
and this will be what our seventh
Our
week now.
seventh episode.
Yeah, so it will be our seventh podcast. So I hope you guys enjoy. Before we get actually into the meat of the podcast, make sure to go check out our Instagram account at Galactic Arrowverse Hub. I can't speak today, and actually we're going to be doing something special since there hasn't been a lot of content lately on that account. We usually post like a review. Like usually the account was like made as a discussion slash review account. Like we're reviewing like episodes and whatnot, but we're also going to have it as a discussion account as well. But there wasn't a lot of stuff to discuss. So what we're going to do,
Yeah.
actually, starting I'd say tomorrow.
Tomorrow. We can start
Yeah,
tomorrow.
yeah. So starting tomorrow, what we're actually going to do is that each day we're gonna actually give off our top 10 favorite villains, and I'm gonna have my top 10. Ben's gonna have his top 10, and we're just gonna do it daily. So I'll do my number 10. Brendan and I will do our number 10s tomorrow. They'll each be separate posts, just to keep the just to keep that account more alive, considering the fact that it's almost like a dead account, and we do want to
Yeah.
pump out more content because we've basically been only putting out content on that account weekly, like one post
Yeah.
per week. So
We were just reviewing stuff, and I think
yeah,
this will put a
yeah,
lot.
exactly. And that, by the way, our top 10 villains list, it's not going to be Arrowverse villains. It's going to include Arrowverse villains, but it's also going to be villains coming from like all different other types of media and whatnot. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Make sure you go follow our Instagram account, Galactic Arrowverse Hub. Put in the link in the description. And
Yeah.
yeah, let's begin. So we'll first start off with Stargirl, or yesterday's episode of Stargirl. Brendan, what were your thoughts on that?
So this episode, like Stargirl keeps improving for me. It's doing everything properly. I've been really enjoying these episodes, and like the whole thing is really good. I like where they're going with it. Like where Stargirl has to and Pat kind of like at the beginning of the show were kind of a little bit of a falling out because Pat was like, "Oh yeah, I thought you trusted me," and blah 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 blah. So I think that's cool that I think they're starting to get along a little bit more at the end of the episode where Stargirl obviously kind of needs to understand that she's pretty much the leader of that group. It needs to teach them the right ways of go fighting villains and whatnot. I think Pat has to be more of the teacher. So I think in the next episode we're going to see more of like teaching them how to fight and whatnot. Because really only one that can fight is really Stargirl. I think at the moment and I'm still confused how she got the staff and fucking already knows how to use it already. Which I wish there was more of like a little bit of a problem. I wish we
She learns more about it. Yeah, that's one thing I kind of noticed too is that like she's already kind of accustomed to the staff, and I know she's only had it for like a couple of weeks, not even like around like just a couple of days. Actually, yeah, a couple of days. So
yeah.
it's kind of strange how she's already that proficient with the staff. And I understand that like she did like gymnastics and whatnot, but I don't think that's kind of like in
Yeah, this
Titan
is a
or
totally different thing.
Dawn, like Dove. She
Yeah.
knows how to fight, even though like she really is only done like what ballet or ballet and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
more gymnastics type of stuff. Like I don't really understand. Like it's kind of
yeah.
weird, So it's kind of like similar to that. I wish like there was a bit. Yeah, I think I do agree with you that there should be a bit more like a learning curve when it comes
Yeah,
to handling the staff.
yeah, I totally agree. And low key, my favorite character right now is Rick Tyler, which is or as Our Man or the new one as we call it. And I really enjoy his character because I feel like he's more out for revenge more than like, oh yeah, let's just stop to save humanity. All he cares about is I don't know if he wants to kill Solomon Grundy. I don't know if he wants to kill the whole society or whatever. I don't know like what his goal is. I'm assuming he wants to take revenge and take out Solomon Grundy, if I had to guess. I don't know if his
I mean that's really like when you have a character like that who's out for revenge, it really does seem like that they want to like kill them all. Like so he's a very like you can just tell he's a very brutal type of character. Like it was already mentioned that he's a delinquent, so like
yeah.
he's not someone that you want to mess with.
Yeah, and I really like his character so far. Him and Pat talking was actually I really enjoyed that when they were just talking, and then him actually roasting Pat for not really doing anything about his parents and whatnot. But obviously, Pat is not really a superhero. He only drives a humongous robot now, and well, I'm curious to see like who's gonna train who because Pat I don't think is really a fighter. Like obviously, I don't know if it's just like Pat's is gonna be like Stargirl and fucking
Well,
Hourman just go out at it
he
or
like
something.
by the end of the episode, he kind of was like now accepting the fact that well, there's nothing he can do to stop them from not becoming heroes. So it's like, well,
Mhm.
he's gonna have to like kind of guide them. It's kind of like I imagine because like he was like obviously like he was kind of like the sidekick type of character. He was the one where in the old Justice Society, he kind of like was like a guiding hand, in a way. Like he's
Mhm.
like, hey, you should do this, you should do that, don't do that stuff and whatnot. I feel like he's gonna be probably something like that, except a bit more overprotective.
Yes, of course. Yeah, it's just weird because, like I said, Pat doesn't really know how to fight. Is he going to hire like that dude at the
I feel
gym?
like he's gonna put up some sort of like count, like if there's like ever like a training session in the old JSA, I feel like he's gonna bring some of that back for the new
Yeah,
JSA.
yeah. I
I
guess
feel
we'll
like
have
something
to
like
see.
that.
Because it's
Yeah,
just weird because Pat doesn't know how to fight. He uses him humongous robot to fight. So
but I do like how he's stepping up to the mentor figure
yes,
for all these characters. That's actually something that I really wanted. Like as soon as like I saw that like Star or Courtney was giving like the different suits and whatnot to the different to all the other characters and whatnot. It's like, yeah,
yeah,
we know that there's going to be a new JSA, so it's
mm,
like it kind of made sense, like in my head at least, for Pat to become like basically the new leader of the JSA.
yeah,
And that's what I liked. I mean, it's a good step. I mean, it makes sense. It's the most sensible step forward.
mm,
Um, for me, for this episode, I really I enjoyed it a lot. One of the reasons why is
yeah,
actually because we actually had all the characters fleshed out. Because at the start of the
yeah,
episode, you did see how each character was being appreciative of their powers, except for Rick Tyler. He's just out there just to beat some people up. But
yeah, exactly.
yeah, well, I mean, even then, like when he went through his father's journal, I thought that really fleshed out his character too, because he's
Yeah,
like, yeah, he's like he wants more answers. I mean, he does have that really like he does have that not exactly heart to heart, but he does have that really interesting conversation with Pat, and I found
yeah,
that to be really interesting.
yeah.
But yeah, like going back to what I said, I really liked how each character was fleshed out, and especially since this is their first mission as well, we really get to see how like each character reacts to the type of environment that they're in. Because this is the first episode where we have all these characters work together and see how they operate as a team or not as a team, and how they operate as heroes, like on the field and whatnot. Uh, Again, like I said, like this episode was kind of like it's kind of like how like it's kind of like a character, not exactly a character study, but how each character reacts to a situation. I feel like this episode fleshes that out to an extent.
Yeah,
You know, like Courtney's trying to keep the team together. Rick, he's out there just to beat people up.
yeah,
Wildcat, I mean Yolanda, she's like I don't like she's trying to redeem herself. So like
yeah,
she also is out there kind of to beat people up. And then there's like Beth, who is just new to this whole thing. She's not a fighter, but she is kind of
yeah.
useful with the glasses or the goggles at least. So
Well, yeah.
like
I'm
we
really,
like
I'm really curious to. Sorry to interrupt you. I'm just really curious to see what they're going to do with her character because I'm really curious because I don't know. I bet she's going to become like a fighter, obviously, but I think she's more of going to be like that hacker type person,
yeah. Do you
sort of
think
thing.
I'm feeling that she's going to become kind of like the Luke Fox or the Felicity Smoke of the
Yeah,
team? Or
yeah,
like they're like the
definitely.
or actually no, I feel like her character is gonna be similar to like Cisco's, where yeah they have powers, yeah they have this cool suit, but like they're better off like with their wits and their
Yeah, of
intelligence.
course. Yeah, I totally agree with you on that point.
But yeah, I think this episode for me it was the most enjoyable as well. I did like
Yeah,
how like it moves each character step, like it probably flushes out, but yeah, it does move the plot along very nicely, especially since like I said, we did get that we did get Pat accepting the fact that well now he has to lead this new JSA.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So
I
it's
mean,
like a learning curve for everyone in this group,
yeah, it is a
really.
learning curve for everyone too, and I do like those episodes where it's more character driven. There's more more writing towards the character rather than just like the more bombastic stuff like where oh they get this huge fight scene, let's put all the attention to that, and whatnot. Like it's more focused on each character, and I do like that a lot. I even like how they fleshed out Icicle, because like
Yeah.
it was his like wife's birthday and whatnot, and they did have that one scene where they're at that diner with the cake. And although it
Yeah.
was a very short scene, like yeah, I mean already know like the tragic story of like the mother and whatnot, but
Yeah.
yeah, I still found it to be a very cool scene, especially since the scene was, or this episode, sorry, was more focused. I found it more focused on like family and team and like teamwork
Building,
and
yeah.
whatnot, because you had like that science fair, you had like family and
Mm.
whatnot and all that stuff and trust
Yeah.
and whatnot, and all that stuff between Pat and Courtney, and then you
Yeah.
obviously have like the family, the father and son moment between Icicle and
Yeah.
whatnot, so that I found, yeah, this episode is more focused on like family and whatnot. So
Yeah. And I
yeah,
also
this
have
is
a
what,
question for you, but I think
yeah.
this was more in the last episode, but so Brainwave, right? He's in the hospital, he's in a coma or whatever. Do you think his son is going to take over for him? 'Cause,
Well,
like,
there's hints of his son actually inheriting his powers, because in the
yeah,
last episode he did read Yolanda's mind.
yeah,
So I have a feeling. Well, because here's the thing: some of the daughters or sons of the Injustice Society members,
yeah,
um, they do seem to either inherit their parents' powers, or they're
mm,
gonna like they're going to become like a more prominent character. Like for example, the villains of this week, you had Sportsmaster and Tigress, I believe that's her name,
yeah,
right? Their daughter is named Artemis, and
yeah.
Artemis is actually a Green Arrow character.
Mm,
So there's speculation that because her name is Artemis, she is going to take up the role of, well, she's going to become Artemis later down, like maybe like season 2 of Stargirl or something like that. Because
yeah.
there's nothing hinting that in season 1. I think we first need to just take that, like defeat the Justice Society first before we can get into like focusing more on the sons and daughters of the Injustice Society.
Yeah,
So
that's what I think they're gonna do next season. Maybe they like defeat the Justice Society and like they all go to jail and like the sons and daughters of like them and whatnot will be
yeah,
like
they either take
triggered.
revenge, or they're going to join the JSA.
Yeah,
Again,
or
like I
something
said,
like
there's a
that.
lot of speculation that, well, not speculation, but I think it's more just like people are kind of expecting the Artemis character in this show to become the Artemis. Because you remember Artemis from Arrow?
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah, the one,
So,
like, yeah, she actually is like a very prominent character. I'm sorry, but like in Arrow, they ruined Artemis's character. But in the
mm,
comics, as well as like other like shows, I believe like Young Justice, I believe that she's in there as well. Artemis, she does become like a Green Arrow. She does become an archer. She's like an archer hero. So
yeah,
like just like the Green Arrow and Arsenal and whatnot. So yeah, Artemis. We don't know what she's gonna be like, but there's, again, most
yeah.
people. Well, a lot of people are speculating that she is going to be actually going to be like their version of the Artemis Archer. So
I think either like at the end of the season, like I think like when they get all the JSA and like they go up against like the Unjustice Society, I feel like maybe Stargirl or one of the people in there kills one of them, like kills like Icicle or something like that. Maybe like his son sees that and like then just goes into a rage or whatever or something like that. I don't think they'll kill anybody, but we'll just have to see. I think
yeah,
that'll be
it's going to be
pretty cool.
interesting too. I'm really curious to see how those characters, the sons and daughters of the Injustice Society. I'm
Yeah,
really curious to see, or what I keep saying, like the kids of the ISA. I'm curious
yeah.
to see how they're going to handle those characters either near the end of the season or after the season's over. So, especially since they all go to the same school too. So,
I'll go to
yeah,
the exact same goddamn school.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
I'm really curious to
and
see how they handle that.
yeah, and it's looking like in the next episode they're going to focus more on like finding out who Stargirl is and who the rest of the people are. So
Well, I mean, the promo for the next episode, spoilers, by the way. I mean, it's not really spoilers. It kind of is spoilers.
it's a
But yeah,
trailer.
the promo for the next episode, I guess, we'll be fighting. Well, it seems like the Dragon King. We're going to be actually
Yeah.
like facing the Dragon King, because the Dragon King's there. And you also have like that like girl, like that one girl that like she's like the bully at the school, and
Oh yeah.
apparently she's like the main villain for next week. So it'll be
Yeah,
interesting to
we'll
see
have to
that.
see. Yeah, it'll be
Yeah,
very interesting.
yeah. Well, now we're done with our Stargirl segment. Let's move on to what I guess we anticipated for this moment to come. We're gonna be
Yeah.
ranking. Well, this is going to be our third installment of our ranking the Arrowverse series, mini
Mhm.
series at least. We'll be focusing on the Flash seasons, so all six seasons of the Flash. So yeah, Brendan, do you want to take it away? You're number 6.
Okay, I feel like me and you have the exact same number 6, but we'll see. I have season 4. Now, season 4 is, if people don't remember, is the season where the main villain was DeVoe, and people know him as the smart guy. And
Yeah, you know, Nurse
this,
Tinker.
yeah, this season was different. Obviously, they didn't want to, like, the Flash people didn't want to be like, okay, all of Flash's villains are just speedsters. So they did try to switch it up, which I respected, but this was just plain out bad, bro. Like, it was just weird. It was just a weird season. Like, it was mostly not just like fighting. It was more like just trying to like it wasn't more of a fighting season. It was more like, oh, let's try to figure out DeVoe's plan, and then DeVoe was always like 6 steps ahead of him every time. And like this season was really boring for me. Like the villain wasn't even that good. The wife, the DeVoe's wife, was I guess kind of cool at some points, but like, it was just a bad season overall. I think it's definitely not. It's definitely the worst season in my eyes.
Definitely agree. Although, for me, like my number 6 spot, I'm torn between two seasons, either this season, season 4, or
Mm.
actually season 6. So I feel like I'm gonna put season 6 as my number 6, and the reason why
Mm.
is because it started off good. Actually, you know what? This is gonna be my number 5. Okay, so I guess you already know what my number 5 is. So I'm just gonna explain my number 5 right now. My number 5
Okay.
would be season 6. And
Mm.
then, actually, no, I'll just move on to what am I doing? Season 6. I'm going to move on to my number 6, which is season 4. I do agree with you on
Yeah.
that. Um, I just like it was also a boring season. Also, I found like Defoe to be pretty weak as a villain. Like
Yeah.
he was really smart and whatnot, but like at the same time, he also was like not that threatening. Like he wasn't even like he compared himself to, like even Cicada. Like Cicada was a pretty threatening villain. Like
Yeah.
he is something that you definitely want to take down and like defeat, but like DeVoe was just he was pretty boring as a villain.
Yeah. He was
It wasn't
super
really.
boring.
They try to make him like this brainiac type of character where it's like I am the be all and the end all and whatnot. Well, but like, like how? Like it's just like there's not much to say about him. Like I'm struggling to find words because he's so dull as a villain. Now I understand that this is the
Yeah.
first season where they don't have a speedster villain, but like it's by far one of the worst seasons. Like no doubt,
Yeah.
like, without a shadow of a doubt, and whatnot.
Really, the only good thing about this season is that we got Ralph Daphne. He
Yeah, I
got
was
his
about to say that. That's
powers.
the only good thing.
Like
Also, I
that
did
was
find the
like the
bus
only
metas
good
to be
thing.
interesting. The bus metas were an interesting
Yeah.
like idea.
Yeah.
I think they were one of the underrated ideas. I did like how we got a set of metas from like this one specific location. I found it to be really interesting. So
Yeah. I
it
totally agree
creates
with
more
you.
villains because they can't just keep using the same villains from the initial part
Yeah.
of Flow Accelerator Explosion. So
Yeah.
I did like the idea of the bus metas and whatnot and finding all of them. But
Yeah.
the DeVoe still was super boring as a villain.
Yeah, he was super boring as a villain. There wasn't really much fights. It was more of just the Flash. Oh, and also in that season, I think it was like the final episode, we got Nora too. We didn't know
Oh yeah,
much
yeah.
about that.
They've been hinting at her like that
Mhm.
season. You saw hints of her like just showing up and just spying
I think,
on like her
yeah,
parents.
yeah, that's also true. I guess that was kind of cool. I guess that was another good thing about that season. But besides those two things, it was just not an enjoyable season.
Yeah. Well, I'll move on to my number 5, considering the fact that I already gave out what my number 5 is,
Yeah.
which is season 6. Now, reason why it's my number, like even I was about to put this at my number 6, but the reason why it's
Hmm.
my number 5 because the first half of the season wasn't bad. Now,
Yeah.
the first half of the season, we got the Bloodwork story arc.
Yeah.
That wasn't terrible. It actually, I found it to be a pretty decent storyline. Problem was that it had little to no connection to Crisis up until maybe like the last two episodes, like the final what was it, the Last Temptation of Barry Allen parts 1 and 2. Those last two
Yeah.
episodes before Crisis. Okay, Bloodwork. He like kind of plays mind games with Barry by using his inevitable quote unquote inevitable death in Crisis as like kind of a way to like play around, play with him, like play with his mind and whatnot. So like, but other than that, like it had no correlation to the big event of that year, which was kind of, it shouldn't be like that. Like
Yeah.
I did like what Arrow did for season 8, where like the entire season was focused on Crisis, like preparing for
Yeah.
Crisis. I
Yeah.
feel like the Flash should be the same, considering the fact that Barry Allen is supposed to die. So
Yeah.
why don't they focus on they focus on that. There's very touching scenes between like characters where like Barry says like his final goodbyes and whatnot. But
Yeah.
like shouldn't the first half of the season be preparing for Crisis, like how to defeat this
Mhm.
anti-monitor, how to defeat or how to stop the multiverse from destroying and whatnot, like all that
Yeah.
stuff. Like I understand that Arrow is doing that, so like if you had the Flash doing that, it's kind of redundant.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, like also like I feel like okay, as much as I don't want him to return, I kind of wanted the Reverse Flash to come back because at the
Yeah.
end of season 5, he said that like I'll see you in the next Crisis. I feel like
Yeah.
he should have been the main villain for the first half of season 6 rather
Yeah.
than Bloodwork. But again, like I said, there's nothing wrong with Bloodwork. I did like his character. I found it to be really interesting. I did like the Bloodwork storyline. Again, like I said, I think it was really cool. I wish she came
Yeah.
back. I wish she was the villain for the entire season. But uh, yeah, we got what's her face? Mirror Master Ava
Mister?
Mahalla,
Yeah.
which on like okay, after Crisis, this is honestly one of like the worst storylines out of like all the Flash. Like like I said, like I almost put some at number 6 just because of like the Mirror Master story and whatnot. Like it
Yeah.
was so boring. Like
Yeah.
they draw like, it just seemed like it was like too drawn out because it had to
Yeah.
fill some sort of quota where like okay, you're supposed to have 23 episodes per season. But
Yeah.
since that got short, it made this season even worse. Now I have to
Yeah.
give it. No, you have to understand. Like you have to give this like season some slack because like yeah,
Mhm.
it got cut short, and we're supposed to have a
Yeah.
different ending from the one that we got now.
It's true.
But like this is still so boring. Like the Valentine's episode was probably by far one of the worst episodes of The Flash, like just in
Yeah.
general. Like people find the Nora Allen the Nora West Allen episodes annoying. I found that Valentine story more annoying because it was so stupid. It had little to nothing with the actual plot of the story. Like it was just
Yeah.
like I understand you can have filler episodes, but like there are some filler episodes that do good, like the Godspeed episode where like like
Yeah.
the Flash teams up with what's his name, like I don't know, like the one guy, like what was his name again?
Leonard Start?
No, like it was this season, or yeah, season 6. He teams up, like it was like the second last episode. Where,
Oh
like
my god, what's his
yeah, like
name?
well, yeah, like that was a filler episode where he fights
Yeah.
Godspeed.
Who
That
that
was
is?
fine. I
I don't
actually enjoyed that. Like even though it was a filler episode, but it
Yeah.
was a good filler episode. Meanwhile, the Valentine's Day episode was like, just horrible. Like
Yeah.
it was so bad.
Yeah. So funny enough, I also have season 6 as number 5. Um Pretty much I agree with all of your points. I think the Mirror Master villain is cool. I agree with you, like the story was kind of not the best, but I think next season has a lot of potential. That's why I have it a little bit higher than season 4. I think season 6 was bad. Like the first half was amazing, like it was great, and then the second half was just not good whatsoever.
Yeah,
So
the first half of season 6, it's better than season 4, but like honestly, that's the only reason why it's above that season. Like if that didn't exist, then like season 6 and season 4 would have been tied for me because like those two were just so bad.
yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah, that season was just not. It was tough, bro. Like I think next season is definitely going to be a lot better. I think season 7 will be really really good as long as they do it right. I'm hoping. I was really hoping for season 6 to be really good. They had a lot of potential there, but yeah, I think season 6 was not the greatest season, but they can improve obviously. So pretty much I have nothing else to say on that. You pretty much said everything else. So
Yeah, it was you're gonna have to like some have like the endurance of I don't know. You're just gonna have like a really good endurance just to like get through season 6
yeah,
because it was just that bad. Like the only good thing, okay, the only good things that came out of season 6 were
yeah,
I guess we got hints of Godspeed becoming like a more
yeah,
prominent villain. We
yeah,
also got blood work, and we
yeah,
got the new suit. Like the season 6 suit of the Flash is by far like the best suit out of like the entire series. So, but like other than
yeah,
that,
and
that's about it. Like,
we also got a hint at Atlantis, so we have to see what they're gonna do
yeah,
with that. So
yeah, that too. Well, moving on to our number 5. Mine is or number sorry, number 4.
four.
My number 4 will actually be season 5. Now, season 5 it gets a lot of hate because well, rightful hate
Mhm.
because like it just wasn't that great. It didn't live up to well, it was better than season 4, but it still wasn't
Yes,
a breath of fresh air. Like it still
yeah,
had lots of problems. One of
yes,
them in Nora Allen. Now, look, I actually tolerated her character. I actually didn't really. I actually found her character to be all right. Like I understand she's like a very flawed like character. She doesn't. She makes a lot of stupid decisions and whatnot. And she
yeah.
like I don't know. She's like she honestly is kind of like this huge woman child, but like at the same time, she does have a good story. She does have a good arc like throughout the entire season. She does have a very interesting arc,
Yeah,
and I do like how she is being manipulated by the Reverse Flash,
yeah,
and well, and like how like that affects her and her father and whatnot. But like,
yeah,
um, it still had lots of problems. The cicada villain, like the cicada villains themselves, they weren't that interesting. But I did like their backstories. Their backstories were
yeah.
they were something. I did like how um what was the word like very I guess compelling or very like either you can relate to the backstories between um the both cicadas
Yeah.
they've been uh I guess like some massive accident changed both of their lives forever
Yeah.
and they're forced to take down a dark path and
Mhm.
whatnot. So I did find it to be really. I did find that to be like a really interesting backstory. I did like the actual like the character backstories, but not like the actual characters themselves. I didn't find any of the cicadas to be interesting at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, another thing I actually really liked was actually with Ralph's character. I did like how he actually like improved as like
Yeah.
there's actual character development because with season 4 what they failed to do with this character was that they introduced him and then they had him go through like this hero arc where like yeah you can't be this selfish and whatnot you have to like do
I
what's
think
do the
I
greater
think
good and
one
what
I think that season was just like I no one could touch him because he's just made of rubber. So if you punch him in the face, he'll be like, "Nope." And
yeah
then I think one of the guys like had acid or whatever, and then I kind of changed him.
yeah but he definitely improved a lot because he actually like proved some value. He found out like that Reverse Flash was manipulating Nora and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like each episode that he was in, he got better as
Mhm.
a character. It wasn't like in season 4 where yeah, he got better as a character, but like the next episode he went back to his old state. So it's like, what's the point of like having any form of character development at all?
Yeah.
So like that's the one thing I actually did like about season 5. They improved on that a lot. Another
Yeah.
thing that they improved on was what I improved on, but what I did like was how they handled the Reverse Flash's character because it was actually very similar to season 1. He wasn't as like as I said in my Legends of Tomorrow discussion when we were ranking
Mhm.
that show, he
Mhm.
wasn't as stupid and as like very arrogant as he was. Like he
Yeah.
was very smart. He again, like I said, like there was season 5 Reverse Flash. He was very reminiscent of a season 1 self, where
Yeah.
he was very slow to. He was a very patient villain. He knew what
Yeah.
he was doing. He was very manipulative, You know, he
Mhm.
wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna put my hand through your chest and whatnot, like in Legends of Tomorrow, which is like I really like I cannot express this enough, but I really didn't like his character in Legends. But his character in
True.
season 5 of The Flash, as much as I didn't want him to be in this season, I think it worked out really well. You know.
Yeah. For my number 4, I also have season 5. So, and I remember a certain episode. It was Nora, and I think they were all going against Cicada without the Flash or something. Flash was doing something else. Like Cicada, like killed Iris, and then she kept going back in time and back in time and back in time. And I remember that episode fondly, just because it like made no sense. Like, how many times do you have to go back in time just to save like everyone? Like it was just, yeah. The season I actually like the season. In general, I think the villains were both very cool. The backstories were cool. I think they're cool. I think they're the best non-speedster villains, in my opinion. Think
Yeah,
that.
either both the cicadas or Bloodwork. It's just that the
Yeah.
cicadas were very intimidating. They were somewhat scary villains, but like as an actual villain themselves, they didn't really know what they were doing. That's why I didn't really like them much as villains. I did like their backstories, which is really
Yeah, I think their backstories were really cool. And like I said again, I think they're definitely the best non-speedster villains that they have. What they had, like main villains, because obviously you had like Rod, King Shark. I don't even know if King Shark was really a villain at that
Oh
time,
yeah,
but
they had actually was that this season or last season or season 6 or season 5 where they had Gorilla Grodd versus King Shark.
I think it was season 5. I don't think that was this season.
Huh.
Yeah, season 5. Yeah.
Yeah, but like,
So
yeah, the season 5 had potential. It had potential. It just
yeah,
wasn't as great, but it still was
yeah,
okay. Like, I'd rather rewatch season 5 than season 6 or season
4.
4 any day.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, any day, honestly. And you pretty much said everything else. Like Nora, I really liked Nora's character when she first came in and whatnot, and she was obviously, obviously her talking with the Reverse Slash, and I'm just like I understood, I kind of understood because Reverse Slash is a smart guy and whatever, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, it's Reverse Flash. He doesn't really care about anything else but himself. Nora learned, like, obviously, she made a huge, huge mistake. I still got through it, and then Nora had to go back. Oh, she gave up her life. I don't know if that was that season. But it was,
Yeah, it was season
yeah,
5 where she had to where she died because she changed the timeline and whatnot.
yeah, it was weird. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, I think that season was okay. I think it's not the greatest, it ain't the best, but it's okay.
hmm Moving on to my number 3, which actually would be season 3 of The Flash. It
Ooh.
gets a lot of hate. Now, I see where the hate's coming from. I understand it, but at the same time, there was a lot of good. You
Mhm.
know, actually, for one of the good things was H.R. Wells. I did like his character a lot.
Yeah.
He actually had a really interesting. Like he kind of went from being like this useless nobody to someone who actually basically saved the season. It was kind of like actually I forgot to mention this when I was talking about season 5, but what's his name? Like the detective like the Wells in that season 5. He also
Oh,
was
yeah,
really
yeah.
good too. Yeah, I also enjoyed his character. Excuse me.
Mhm.
But yeah, with season 3, I understand where the hate's coming from because they messed up Flashpoint. Like the Flashpoint episode was it was so bad. Like not bad, but it was just so disappointing. We only got like one episode of it. Now I understand why, because the other Arrowverse shows, they can't just all of a sudden change because of one show. They obviously,
Mhm.
there has to be, there obviously has to be some form of like connect unity or connection and whatnot. So, but like
Yeah.
I just didn't think that Flashpoint really should have been a thing in the Arrowverse for like a
Yeah.
TV show setting. I feel like it should have been like a movie, like what they're gonna do now, like later on.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I just don't see it working in a show, and for obvious it didn't work as a show. Like, because
Yeah.
because Flashpoint is this big event where there's so much stuff you have to cover, but since
Yeah.
there's other shows that's going to be like that, other shows are in the Arrowverse as well. You can't
Mhm.
just like all of a sudden change those shows drastically. Like, yeah, there have been changes done to each show. Like, for example, Diggle now has a son instead of a daughter, but like
Yeah.
like Flashpoint was such a massive event in DC Comics because everything changed. Like Bruce Wayne died, and Thomas Wayne became Batman, and Martha Wayne became
Yeah,
Joker. There was a massive war between the Atlanteans and the Amazonians and whatnot.
yeah,
I get all that stuff, but like, how are you supposed to convert that to a TV show format when you have, especially when you have other shows that play into that one show as well? Like, you can't like I said, like it's like if they changed it, like all of a sudden, like Arrow is going to be like, oh, I don't know, John Diggle's the Green Arrow, and and like he went to and Oliver Queen died on the island and whatnot. Like you're just going to change all the other
yeah.
shows because of one show. Like for me, just Flashpoint, it didn't work. It
Yeah.
was a failed experiment,
Mhm.
and well, not yeah, well, it came to fruition. It just failed as like an idea,
Yeah.
Um, but like honestly, that was probably the worst part of that season. The Doctor Alchemy stuff was all right. I actually did like Tom Felton's character, which yes, if you don't know, Tom Felton, who plays he's most known from his Harry Potter movies, but
Yeah.
his character Julian Albert was really interesting. I did
Mhm.
how he was incorporated into Team Flash. I
Yeah.
wish I wish he became a regular for other seasons because his character was so cool. Um,
Yeah.
and actually, Savitar, the main villain, Savitar.
Yeah.
I actually like the idea of Savitar. I did like how he was a future version of Barry Allen, which was interesting
Mhm.
because he had the Future Flash. Like in the comics, he was known as the Future Flash, and I guess Savitar in this version, like in the Arrowverse, he looks somewhat like Future Flash in the comics.
Yeah.
I just like how they had those two characters kind of mesh into one and get their own Savitar character. I thought it'd be really interesting. Although I
Yeah.
do think that like most people found the time travel stuff confusing, like how Savitar came to be. I
Mhm.
understand it, but it's just like I feel like it could have been explained better, like how he came
That
to
could have been
be.
explained a lot better.
Yeah, I feel like there should have been like an origin story of Savitar because I
Yeah.
feel like because it was so like at first it was confusing for everyone. It's
Mhm.
to this people some like to this day some people are still confused with the origin story of Savitar. But I understand
Mhm.
it now, but like I understand why people still find it confusing. So I feel like it should have been explained better rather than just having us told how his origin story came to be. I did
Yeah.
like his villain reveal. I did like the last couple of episodes; they were really interesting. Especially with this season, we actually got Caitlin becoming Killer Frost, and
Yeah.
I did actually find that to be really interesting as well. Killer Frost was a very interesting character this season.
Yeah. I totally agree. So for my number three, I actually have season two. So this is the season where Zoom is the main villain, and I remember the season very fondly. That it was like this was when I don't know. This is when it's kind of difficult because like I don't know which speedster brought the best out of Flash, but like I think Zoom's definitely up there as one of my favorite Arrowverse villains because he just had the look, like he looked like a nightmare. He just looked terrifying, and like that whole season was really good. It was just I don't know. It was tough to say in my opinion. Like it
Yeah,
was like
yeah, season yeah, Zoom was a really interesting character. He's
yeah,
my favorite villain. I'll get on to him later once I get to my season 2 ranking.
yeah,
But yeah, sorry. So you were saying that like it was kind of tough for you to like put.
yeah. It was like my top three was really tough for me because I feel like this is like season two is when like season one. I'll talk about more about that when I get to it. But season one was mostly just all Flash. It was not really anybody else. I feel like season two is when they brought like Cisco, Joe, Caitlin, like
Oh
everybody
yeah,
in
when they
more
started
as
fleshing out other characters and whatnot.
yeah, when they actually started out fleshing other characters out. So like yeah, it was weird. Like it was just weird that they did something. I don't know,
You
bro.
wanted
like
season 2 to be more focused on the Flash. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, I
yeah,
feel like
it
it
was
was
just weird.
like once we got the identity of Hunter Zolomon, I feel like that's when we had it like more focused on Barry Allen.
Yeah. Yeah,
I see where you're coming from. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, it was a weird season for me. I think season 2 could be higher on my list, but my other two, I remember enjoying them more. So we'll
Yeah,
get
for
to more about
sure.
that when my number 2 and 1 comes up. But
Yeah, for sure.
I think Zoom is one of the more cooler characters. Like, I hope maybe one day, like, I don't know if this will ever happen, but I hope one day it's just Barry Allen, and then there's just like, and then there's just Zoom, Reverse Flash, and Godspeed just all like standing there as like a trio or something. I think that would be kind of cool. But
Yeah, it'd be really interesting. I mean, they have a possibility of bringing back Zoom, considering the fact that Speed Force is dead, so the Black
yeah,
Flash would no longer exist. So maybe Hunter Zolman might come back. I don't know. It'll be really interesting to see how like I
yeah,
really do hope that his character does come back. There's a possibility. So you
yeah.
know,
There's always a possibility. Okay.
uh, yeah, my number two has to be. Now, a lot of people are not going to agree with me on this, and a lot of people aren't going to like what I put in my number two. But I have season one. Now, the reason, like, by no means is the season bad. It's actually really good.
Yeah,
Well, it's good, but like the main problem I had was that each episode felt the same. Was that okay? Barry fights a bad guy. He loses the first time. Gets a pep talk about like all that stuff, and like he fights the bad guy again the second time.
yeah,
He does better, but still gets he still loses, and then he gets a pep
yeah,
talk where you have to run faster, like run Barry run, and then like he
yeah,
fights the bad guy a third time, beats him, and that's basically like
yeah,
I'd say 80% of season one.
yeah.
Although I did really like the Reverse Flash. I did like Eel Barthon's character. He was,
I totally
in
agree.
my opinion, one of my like in season one. This is only season one, and I guess season five as
Yeah,
well. But in season one, he is by far one of my favorite villains in the
mm,
Arrowverse. Like he's not my favorite, but like he is like up there on my top five because I just loved his like you can feel the tenacity in the
yeah,
Reverse Flash, but he's so calm about it. Like he's a
yeah.
sociopath, right? He's a
Yeah,
so
like sorry, but the reverse flash is like he doesn't need to be a fighter. He plans stuff ahead, which makes him super
yeah,
cool. He like
like he has like plans for his plans for his plans. Like
his plans.
he's
Yeah,
already like way ahead of his competition. So like I really liked his character. I loved how like, Reverse Flash wasn't really much of a scary villain, but they somehow made him scary in season one, and it
yeah,
was really cool. I did like kind of like the blur effect. I really liked the how he like the episode where he kind of revealed himself to Team Flash. It was really cool.
yeah,
Um, he's just like so manipulative. I don't know. I can just go on saying how much like how like, he's such like he's kind of like the deranged. He's like the deranged character, but he's so calm and patient about it. And
yeah,
it's like it's just one of those are one of my favorite characters too because they those have the most interesting of minds. Because it's not like with most villains when they are filled with such anger and hate, they go out and be like, oh, I'm going to destroy the entire universe or something like that. Kind of like with
yeah,
Zoom, but like with a Reverse Flash, he was
mm,
scary in the sense that he was so calm about it. That's his
yeah,
scary. That's the scary parts. His scary parts was that he was so calm about everything because he was so confident because he had all the plan. He had like again like I said he had like a contingency plan for his contingency plans. So like
yeah,
and that's like that again like I said that's what makes him like the most scary, like that's his
yeah,
most scariest qualities because he's so confident that he doesn't need to be angry or filled with rage. I mean, he obviously has that in him, but he
yeah,
doesn't flesh that out. It wasn't until like
yeah,
the very end of the season where his plans fail, where it's like, yeah, I'm just gonna go kill everyone, right? But
yeah,
throughout the season, he knew what he was doing. He was so calm about it, which those are like the very calm villains. Those, in my opinion, actually are the most intimidating
yeah. I
because
totally agree.
they know what they're doing. They don't need to lash out. They don't need to. They're not flawed. Well, they are
Mm,
obviously flawed because they're villains, but at the same time, like since they're so calm about it,
yeah,
it scares you in a way because it's like, how can you think something like that yet be
mm,
so relaxed and laid back about it and
yeah,
whatnot? So he's like so laid back about it. So it's like I just love the Reverse Flash in season one. Other seasons kind of ruined him. I did like how season five kind of brought back hints. Well, season 5 was kind of like an attempt to bring back the season 1 Reverse Flash, which I thought it was really cool. I did enjoy his character there. But what else? Yeah, season 1 story, it was all right.
Yeah, it was alright.
It did introduce us to obviously to the world. It did expand the world of the Arrowverse,
Yeah.
but not to the extent that season 2 did. As
Yeah.
actually, as you can tell, season 2 is going to be my number one, and I'll get into that why. But
Yeah.
with season 1, I did expect more world building, kind of like an Arrow
Mhm.
season 1, where we already know like a lot.
Yeah.
We were been told a lot. Now it could like season 1 of the Flash could have expanded more on the Arrowverse, but it quite like it surprisingly didn't. I thought it was, but
Yeah.
it didn't really do that much. I mean, it did bring us to the idea of metahumans and whatnot and time
Yeah.
travel, but
Yeah.
like it just was underutilized. But other than that, yeah, the story was all right. The villain was really good. The actual characters themselves, they were pretty cheesy. To be
Mhm,
completely
yeah.
honest with you, they kind of seem like your typical like CW high
Uh,
school, like not high school, but like your typical CW drama shows and whatnot, where it's like,
yeah.
but it's like like I do the characters do progress later on throughout like the seasons, but like with season 1, the
Yeah.
characters were all right. There were nothing too fancy.
They didn't really get to we didn't really care about most of the characters in season 1 until we actually got into season 2 where they actually like brought in Joe
Yeah, they were
Cisco.
fleshed out. Yeah, they're fleshed out more.
Yeah.
Also, I did like the last couple of episodes, especially with the very last episode where Barry goes back in time, to try
Mhm.
and save his mom, but he didn't. I did find that to
Yeah.
be really interesting because
Yeah.
like we got it was like the most emotional we got of Barry from that
Yeah.
season. The
Yeah.
last couple of episodes. So it
Yeah.
was really cool. It was more focused on Barry, which I feel like it should have. I mean, obviously, this season was focused all on Barry
Yeah.
and like learning how to use his powers and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it wasn't to the extent until like the last couple episodes where it really fleshed him out to like
Yeah.
a great extent. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's the reason why like season 2 or season 1's at my number 2. It's by no means bad, but I just think
Yeah.
it just gets way too much credit because again, like I said, most of the episodes were copy and paste. And some of the
Yeah.
characters were kind of weak, except for Barry. I think he's like the strongest character. Same with the Reverse Flash.
Mm.
But yeah, like it just wasn't as enough for me compared to season 2 because season 2 for me that's when things get really juicy.
Yeah, exactly. So for my number 2, I also have season 1 actually. Season 1, you pretty much talked about everything. Like the Reverse Flash is probably also in my top 5 favorite Arrowverse villains. Like because he's just so calm. Like you said, he has plans upon plans. Like this dude is so intimidating. And first of all, we didn't even know he was the Reverse Flash because we thought he was in a wheelchair for most of the season. And then when we
Yeah, they
found out
definitely
he can
changed it
actually
up a
walk,
bit. Yeah, they definitely
when we
changed it
found
up
out
a
he could
bit.
walk, and we'll be like, "Oh my god!" And
Yeah.
like, this season was really good in my opinion. Like Barry obviously learning how to use his speed and understanding that he's the fastest man alive and whatever, and he needs to run faster to beat people, even though he really doesn't. And it's just being a I've been a DC. I'm a Marvel and DC fan. I've been one of my favorite heroes is actually the Flash because I think he's super cool. He can just travel back in time with one snap of his fingers. But when I first found out the Flash was a TV show, I was super excited, and the first season did not disappoint me whatsoever. And everything about it was cool, and I just wish that it wasn't. I don't know. I wouldn't say. I think it shouldn't. I think it needed to be more focused on like all the characters. It shouldn't have been just Barry. I get why they had to do just Barry because he's the Flash and whatever, but I feel like if you made me care about like Cisco and them like earlier, I feel like it would have been a little bit better. But we've talked enough about season 1 so far, so I have not much more to say about that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my number
Well,
1 has to be season 2. Now,
yeah.
season 2 is my favorite for a lot of reasons. First of all, it has one of my favorite villains.
Mm,
The reverse sorry, Zoom is also on my top 5 favorite villains list as well.
mm,
For in
yeah.
terms of Arrowverse villains. He like was like like you know how like you said that like well, how I mentioned before where the Reverse Flash he was very scary because of his like how calm he was. Zumi is scary for like all the opposite reasons. He's scary because he is like very brutal. Like he's a very like he's not someone you definitely want to mess with.
Yeah,
Like his whole aesthetic, he looks so much different than his comic book counterpart, which I loved. I did like the blue lightning and the black suit. Like it just make it like, it adds more fear into it. Like his character is basically driven through fear and
yeah,
like darkness, and that's what I absolutely loved about his character and about that villain. Because I find villains to be really like fascinating because like we don't
mhm,
really know much about them unless like you've got like one episode with them. His backstory was all right. I mean, I do understand why, like they come from a very abused family or abused household and whatnot, and so he's moved to an
yeah.
orphanage and whatnot and all that stuff. Um, yeah, I did like his like the backstory with him, like getting like he was in like I guess in a mental institute and he got his powers there because of the particle accelerator. I found that to be really interesting. Also, him kind of playing like this like fake Jay Garrick Flash was also really interesting as well. That was kind of it was kind of like do you remember like in the Incredibles where like you had who was the villain in the Incredibles, like you know that the
Oh,
guy.
the first one. Oh god, what's his name? I totally
So,
forget his name, but I know who you're talking about.
but yeah, he does the good, but he's only doing it just to show off like how like I can be a good person, but all at the same time he's really like a he's like a true sociopath, deep
Yeah,
down. But it was interesting because he did like he actually did enjoy being a hero. He did
yeah,
but like obviously like the Velocity 9 got to him and whatnot. So like that really got to him. Or sorry, yeah. In The Incredibles, the main villain's name is Syndrome. So yeah, Syndrome, like he was very similar to Syndrome in some sense where yeah, he'd do good just because he wants to show off that he's a good person, but like he plays a
yeah,
different persona as well where he is like this like very evil person. I did
mm,
find Zoom's character to be really interesting. He has a dual personality.
yeah,
He would do things for the greater good, like both legit and non-legit, and at the same time, like deep down, he's like just like one of the worst people ever. Um,
yeah,
again, like I said, he was very threatening. He was very scary. He
mm,
nearly killed off some characters,
yeah,
kidnapped quite a bit of people, and yeah. But another reason why I like season two was because of the world building. Now,
yeah,
I'm kind of disappointed in season one of The Flash, where they didn't really expand on the world of the Arrowverse that much. With season two, they took it to a whole nother level. They
yeah,
went to a different Earth. We got hints that because that there are other Earths like Supergirl's Earth. Like we got hints of
yeah,
Supergirl being in the Arrowverse as well.
yeah,
All that stuff. It really expanded the Arrowverse to like the way that no other superhero universe or multiverse could really do.
yeah,
Up until now, right? Um, it was a very important season as well because we were obviously introduced to Supergirl that same year. And again, like I
yeah,
said, we got hints of like there's that one. I remember that one scene. I remember this really well, where Barry Allen he was traveling to Earth two or traveling to different Earths, but he also saw like some other Earths as well. So he saw like Supergirl's Earth
yeah,
and all that stuff, and it was really important because it opened up the world of the Arrowverse.
yeah,
Um, what else I want to say? Yeah, in some ways it also is similar to season one,
yeah,
but just because the villain was just so much better, as well as the world building was so much better, and not just that, you also mentioned how each more characters were fleshed out, like Cisco and
yeah,
Caitlin. Like I did like how Caitlin was being used in this show or in this season, where
yeah,
she did meet like her quote unquote evil self, that being her Earth two counterpart.
mm,
Found that to be really really interesting. Same thing with Cisco. They both met their evil versions on like a different Earth, and it's like okay, you can either be like them or you can be someone different. I do
yeah,
like those stories and whatnot. Those tend to be really interesting stories.
mhm,
So yeah, I fleshed them out more and made them more interesting characters. Also, we got introduced to a different Wells, that being Harry Wells. Found him to be really cool. really interesting character. I did like how Jesse being introduced as well, and Wally, and we got hints of Wally becoming Kid Flash, which ended up happening in
Yeah,
season 3. So yeah, I did find that I found all of that to be really interesting. I don't know, season 2 was just a fun ride for me. It was both
yeah,
world, it expanded the world of the Arrowverse to lengths that it never really planned on going to begin with.
yeah.
But yeah, it was big. It's also a really important season as well. So
Yeah, I'm trying to remember, when did Oliver Queen show up at that cafe to talk to Barry? Was that
I
season one or
believe that
season
was season 1 where
two?
they
Oh,
had the
okay.
crossover with the Arrow versus Flash crossover where they
Yeah. I totally forgot that was a thing.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
this show's been going on for a while now. 6
Yeah,
seasons.
I totally forgot they had I totally forgot they had a crossover and Supergirl. Oh, it was that alien one where like Supergirl and like the other heroes like controlled by aliens, and like it only
Yeah, that
took
was
Barry and
during season
Oliver
3 of the
Queen to win.
Flash. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, I remember now. Okay. So yeah. Okay. So that's good. So for my number one, I have season three. The reason I have season three is because I think Avatar is one of the coolest characters. Because I was watching it, I was like actually wondering who the heck he was, because I think Barry knew Iris was going to die, even though it wasn't Iris that died. It was Wells, obviously, and it got me kind of emotional because Wells was like my favorite character in that
Yeah,
show.
I
Well,
loved Wells's character in that season. It was
yeah,
I'd say season 3 is underrated in my opinion. Not a lot of people give
yeah,
it a benefit
yeah,
of the doubt.
yeah. I totally agree with you. I think I really enjoyed the season, and when I found out it was just a future Barry, I'm like, oh my god, and I kind of like freaked out a little bit, and I thought that was super cool.
Yeah,
So
like I did like the whole premise behind Savitar. He also is like a lot of people don't give him credit, but he's also a really good villain. Like the speedster villains are really good compared
yeah,
to the non-speedster villains. Like I'd say like Savitar is a really interesting character. He's one of the better Arrowverse villains, considering the fact that good Arrowverse villains aren't easy to come by anymore.
yeah,
Like
not yeah. It's tough nowadays. Like yeah, like the beginning, the villains are amazing. We'll have to see. Yeah, so season three really good. Like Barry was, I think Savitar took him to the limit because he played mind games, and he can also take Barry to the limit because the way he played mind games was because of Iris. That Iris is gonna die if you don't be fast enough or whatever. Even though it wasn't obviously Iris, but I think Savitar is one of the coolest villains. He took Barry to his limit, and mentally and physically. So I really enjoyed that season alone just because of the villain. And yeah, I think that whole season three, was obviously my favorite. But to be honest, season one, three, and two was hard to rank for me because I enjoyed all those seasons. So I think I got it right. But I think it could change maybe in the future. We'll just have to see. I think overall, season three was a great season.
yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
Well, that is our Flash ranking or ranking all 6 seasons of the Flash. I now want to move on to some other just smaller topics that we want to talk about in this segment. So, we did get a teaser video or a teaser trailer, sorry, for Zack Snyder's cut for the Justice League. It
Yeah.
featured Wonder Woman, I guess, looking at some ancient type of what was it?
A marking painting thing.
Yeah, something like that, and it was all related to Darkseid. So it seems like Darkseid
Yeah.
is actually going to be like the front and center villain for Justice League. Now it was supposed to be like
Yeah.
that because in Batman v Superman, we were supposed to get hints that Darkseid was supposed to be the main villain for I guess whatever the next major installment on the DCEU was, but
Yeah.
because the directors changed, it switched to Steppenwolf, and Steppenwolf was I don't know, he was really stupid. Like I don't know the Justice League movie that we got was really stupid. The
Yeah.
Zack Snyder one is I mean it's supposed to be like the original vision, So I do
Yeah.
like how it actually like how this is actually tying in with the previous movies, and while it's great.
Yeah.
I'm already hyped up for I'm already hyped up for this. Apparently,
Oh,
we're also gonna get. Sorry, sorry. I was
I
just
was just Alright, I was just saying I'm totally hyped for it too. I'm just curious because like back in the day, I think they were just trying to keep up with Marvel because Marvel, I think, was Infinity War was about to come out. So
Well, it was actually no. Around the time Justice League came out, it was actually Age of Ultron.
oh yes,
Oh wait,
oh yeah,
no. When did Justice League come out? It was 2017, I believe, right? 2017 was
I
Justice
think it was
League.
yeah, I think it was
So around that, yeah, 2017 film, Marvel, 2017
I
movies.
forget.
They were yeah, so yeah, Thor Ragnarok, Guardians 2, and
Yeah.
Homecoming were the
Okay.
movies around that time.
Yeah. I still like I said, I think they rushed it, but now they're doing it properly. I'm super excited for the Snyder cut though. We'll have to I think it will
Yeah, because this is yeah, it's the original vision. This is what
yeah.
Zack Snyder wanted all along. Now, I
I
don't I'm not gonna say that like it's gonna be a masterpiece because I just like I don't believe in Zack Snyder ever putting out a really good narrative. Like when you look at
yeah.
his movies like the 300 and like Watchmen, like they're
Yeah.
okay movies. They're good visually, but like
Yeah.
how he handles narratives and like writing,
Mm.
it's not that great. Like Zack Snyder has struggled as a director in terms of narrative speaking, like he just
Yeah.
can't write a very consistent story properly. So I just don't like I'm not gonna say like I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh well this the Zack Snyder Justice League, it's already gonna be a masterpiece. Obviously like there like most people are not gonna think that. There's some people who are gonna think that. But
Yeah.
I just don't have any I just don't think that it's even gonna be like it's probably gonna be an okay story, but I just don't know if it
Yeah.
ever be like really good. Like it's like the story is that as good as like say like Shazam or Wonder Woman or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I was about to say is because like also technically this is like the first time they're teaming up and we didn't really get any movies of like Aquaman, Shazam's not in it, but Cyborg or the Flash or anything. So this is like the first time they're ever teaming up. And like they're probably going to go against Darkseid unless something changes, but yeah, it's going to be weird because it's like I don't know how it will go. I'm assuming I don't think anybody will die, but this is Darkseid we're talking about here. This is like the main guy in the DCU. So it's going to be weird that if he doesn't kill anybody.
Yeah, I'm curious if Darkseid's gonna be like defeated at the end of Zack Snyder's Justice League because
Yeah.
if so, then that's gonna like change the Justice League. Like that's gonna change the DCEU moving forward because
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
huge. That's a
That is
huge
really huge.
thing. Then what
Like,
happens to Steppenwolf? Does Steppenwolf kind
mhm.
of become like a side villain? Like, I'm really curious to see how the Snyder cut is going to work out.
Yeah, we'll just have to see because I feel like someone has to die, but it won't make sense if any of them die. Like it
Yeah,
just
especially
won't.
since we got movies that take place after Justice League. They might have
Yeah,
to change the timeline or something like that. I don't know how that's
yeah.
going to
I
work.
don't. Like obviously it's the Snyder cut. I don't know if it goes into the DCU if they because they're posting out this movie. I don't think it would go like that. I think the only thing I can see maybe happening is like maybe Batman dying, like Ben Affleck Batman, and then just or something like that. Like it's tough because like this movie's not is the Snyder cut. Like it's not going. It was supposed to go after, but obviously it got cut. So we'll have to see. I think it's going. I just don't want it because I just don't want it to be worst. I don't want it to be the worst one. If you know what I'm saying. Like I think
Yeah,
it
for
will be
sure.
better because I think it's I don't know how much. I think it is
It's going
longer
to be
than the
more
first one.
cohesive. It's going to be a more cohesive story. Is all I can say. But yeah. Um,
Yeah,
that's my thoughts on that. Another speaking of Batman and the Flash, we've got more news surrounding the Flash solo movie, and apparently Michael Keaton is in talks to reprise his role as Batman or Bruce Wayne in that movie. Now, this may seem like good news at first for most people. It's obviously it's
mm,
rumor, and it's nothing confirmed
yeah,
yet. And this is only like he's just talking, like he's in talks to reprise his role. It's not confirmed that he actually is going
yeah,
to come back. But for me, I'm not gonna be like I don't want to be a party pooper, but I'm not on the hype just yet because how DC does their recasting, like when they bring back a old actor who played a different version of a character, how they do it is that if they're bringing back, like say, like Michael Keaton or Brandon Routh as Batman or
Yeah,
Superman, respectively, if they bring them back, they're bringing back their character that they played. So it's like, oh, good example. This would be in Crisis. So, they brought back Tom Welling. He played his version of Clark Kent. They brought back Brandon Routh.
yeah,
He played his version of Superman. It wasn't just like a different type of Superman. No, it was actually like Superman, the same Superman from the Brandon Routh Superman movie. That being Superman Returns.
yeah.
So like I'm curious if they bring back Michael Keaton. Do you think they're going to bring back his version of Batman?
Here's my thing on it. Obviously, I don't like comparing the Arrowverse to the DCU. I think because they're two different things. The DCU is obviously way different than the Arrowverse. And I get what you're saying, like they bring back their version of that character. But you never know. I don't because I think he's going to be playing the older Batman or whatever. So I think he'll have to change. I don't think he'll be
Yeah,
the exact same Batman. I think he has to change if it makes
yeah,
any.
that's my thing too. But like, what I'm wondering is that they already have an older Batman because Ben Affleck he's an already very old and experienced Batman. He lost his Robin. Like he obviously the Ben Affleck. I mean, he's obviously much older than Christian Bale's Batman. Like say in The Dark Knight Rises. So it's
Yeah.
like why would they need to bring an older Batman? Like that's a thing. Like
Well, because
unless if he's
he
playing like a completely different version of like I just don't understand how this is gonna work. Like how like Michael because they can't just like have him replace Ben Affleck. You
Yeah,
know?
I get that, but isn't I think he so this is I think the movie we're talking about the Flash, obviously. So I believe he's
Oh
going
yeah,
to
this
be
is the Flashpoint movie too. Yeah, so
at the Flashpoint movie. So I'm assuming he'll be traveling in time, where Ben Affleck is on the Flash's Earth, and the Flash is going to be traveling back in time. Because I don't think it makes sense for Ben Affleck to be on both
or
Earths.
do you think now? Do you think the rumors could have been wrong and Michael Keane is going to be playing Thomas Wayne because, like in Flashpoint,
That
Thomas Wayne becomes Batman. Do you think that he's going to become the Thomas Wayne Batman? Like the
I
chances
could
of this are kind of
see
low
that.
because they already have a Thomas Wayne actor in the DCEU, and
Uh-huh.
actually. That actor, he's like from The Walking Dead. He played like that one character, like the what's his name? It was the one character that everyone was talking about. But yeah, he was on The Walking Dead, and
Yeah.
do you, like like they already have an actor for Thomas Wayne, so why would they bring in Michael Keaton unless if it's going to be like a completely different version of Bruce Wayne? But like, why would you want to replace Ben Affleck with Michael Keaton? That's my big question. Like, like this like rumor. Honestly, it's just a rumor, but if it comes true, it's
Yeah.
going to confuse me on so many levels as to how they're
I,
going to implement him. Because
yeah.
okay, if he's going to play older Bruce Wayne, you already have an older Bruce Wayne. That's Ben Affleck. So like, what is he supposed to like? What type of Bruce Wayne is this, anyways? You know?
Yeah, I get that point, but like we're talking about he's going to be going into a different timeline. So I don't think it makes sense for it to be Ben Affleck. Maybe it could be an older I get your point that you're saying it could be make Ben Affleck look older. Obviously, they could do something like that, but I get what you're saying that it's going to confuse you and I get that, but at the same time I have to see it for myself first. I
Yeah, like
can't
we
I
know
just
very
have
little
to
to
do it.
nothing about the Flashpoint movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll just have to see. You know, like
Yeah, like I said, you have to see it first, and if you see it and it's like exactly what you say, it will confuse you, and it confuses everyone else, and that's the way it's gonna go. But you can also change it and make it so you're like it, like confuses you that it changed or something like that. Yeah, so we'll
do
just
you
have to see.
think that do you think that the Flashpoint movie is gonna help tie in the Robert Pattinson Batman movie, or do you think that that movie is
Um,
just gonna be stay separate, like for sure, it's not gonna be in the
that-
DCEU?
that's kind of tough because I can see that happening because which I don't know which one comes out first. I think Batman comes out first. I think I don't
Yeah,
know.
and then I know the Flash got pushed up. Instead of being pushed back, it got pushed up, which is a very
Yeah.
interesting move. But yeah, I'm not complaining about that. I mean, unless if the movie turns out to
Think
be
about that
trash.
either.
Uh,
I can see it. kind of doing something like that, but we'll just have to see because the Robin Pattinson Batman is like Batman when he kind of first started, sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, apparently, like in that movie, we're already like a couple of years into, well, not a couple. Yeah, I think we're already a couple of years into his Batman career, but we
Yeah,
just he's still somewhat inexperienced about it.
yeah. I think yeah, we'll just have to see because I'm assuming if that's the case, then maybe he'll see it when he's like running through time and space and whatever. Maybe, possibly. Oh yeah, we'll just have to see because I think I think the Robinson Pattinson Batman is like I think it's gonna do well. We'll just have to see.
Yeah, for sure. Well, this is confusing me a lot already. So before I get
Yeah.
confused even more, and before my brain gets fried, we're gonna end the podcast here. Thank you all for stopping by. Make sure you check out our Instagram account, the Galactic Arrowverse Hub.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for that as well because we're also going to be doing our villains, or I guess ranking our villains, our all-time favorite villains, not just Arrowverse, but
Yeah.
all-time favorite villains. So make sure you
Yeah.
stay tuned for that, and we'll see you guys next time.
And have a good day, everybody. Stay safe.